Today on Something's Happening Here, we conclude our week-long discussion on the spiritual side of our health. To round out our episode, we will see theologically why all these things are so important and some examples of what happens when you get your theology on this issue wrong. We desire, like the inspired words of the Apostle John, for you to prosper in all things and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So welcome to today's show, where we aim for that life more abundant and to prosper in all things. May God bless you. I'm Steve Hicks. Hi friends. Welcome to the end of the week. Today is Friday if you are watching this as we broadcast it, and you have made it. This has not been a very heavy topic like some of our topics, but I know the issue of health, the issue of food, the issue of lifestyle always rubs people wrong, and so I am proud of you that you have made it all the way to Friday, and we can conclude this topic together. We have kind of a big show today because we have a lot to discuss. This is such a big topic. We could do this for weeks probably and never run out of things to say. But what I really would like to get across today, more than any other point, is the idea that God made us, by which I mean men, women, people, human beings. He made us as holistic creatures. And a lot of Christianity, a lot of churches' understandings of the gospel don't really so much grab onto that idea because their theology splits the body and the spirit into two. And so they do not look at humanity as a holistic creature, but rather and this is kind of an extreme example. I know not everybody sees this, but it's almost like our churches understand the body to be an enemy, right? The true you is inside of you, and the body is somehow holding it back. And so that is not a holistic understanding of things. That's an understanding of things where the body is almost disposable, right? It doesn't matter what I do with it because that my body is not attached to the wholeness of me. Well, unfortunately for those ideas, the Bible doesn't really support that. The Bible, from Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 and onward, without fail, points to humanity as the merging of, human life as the merging of a body plus the animating spirit of God. And absent of those two things coming together, neither one of them is human life. In fact, I know we've read this before on the show in a different episode, but it's worthwhile to read again. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. It gives us this prescription for life here. It says, "The Lord God formed man," that's Adam, the very first man, "formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being," or a living soul in the original King James there. And so that's really important because that shows us exactly what I'm talking about. The body, absent of the breath of God, is just a body. It's made of the same things that the soil is made out of, the dust of the ground. The breath of God, absent of a body to inhabit, is just the breath of God. It's a piece of God, but it's not actually a human being. When those two things come together, a body plus the breath of God, the breath of life, the Spirit of God, all these different ways of phrasing that concept, when they come together, it is very much like a light bulb suddenly meeting electricity, forming light. The light bulb all by itself will not give you light. The electricity all by itself will not give you light, but you merge them together and the product is light. Same thing, same concept here. The body plus the breath of God equals a human life, or a human soul. Now, we have talked about this before, but we're seeing in light of our topic of health how very important that concept is. Because when your physical health declines, you may have noticed everything else in your life declines. And you would not really expect that if somehow the body was opposed to the essence of you, right? It wouldn't really matter what you do with your body. You would stay the same. But that's just not what we see in the real world. When our physical health declines, our mental health frequently declines with it. And we're seeing this like spate of mental health problems, especially in our young people right now. Of course, after this 3-year-long global health crisis and all of the restrictions and burdens we've put on our kids as a result, of course they're struggling mentally. But when our physical health declines, frequently our spirituality declines. I mean, I can't even tell you how many of my church members over the years, they come down with some, sickness or some injury, they miss church to recover, and then they never come back, right? Because in those days or weeks or months of recovery time, they become disconnected from their church body and disconnected from kind of living out their faith in such a way. So when the spirituality declines, it's hard to get it back. And it ultimately ties back to the condition of the physical body. If we keep the physical body strong, our mental bodies will be strong. Our spiritual bodies will be strong. Everything will be stronger that way. And I don't want to overspeak. Like, I live in the real world too. And I know there are mental health problems that are not specifically tied to our physical health. I know there are always exceptions to every rule, and I'm not trying to make a blanket prescription for everybody. I'm simply trying to say the way that God set up life. It is designed to be corporeal, right? Your body is the vessel that God gave you through which to live out your life. So if your body declines or becomes decrepit or fragile in some way, then the way you can live your life is harmed and restricted in the same ways. Okay, so I want to give you some examples of this. And what I'm about to share is a little politically incorrect, but it is also true. So just know from the beginning, I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to condemn anyone or any system. It's just the truth. So we are looking now at an article. This is from the BaptistPress.com. So it is a publication by the Baptist Church, which, if you know anything about the Baptist Church, it is not like a monolithic church. It's kind of a set of ideas that manifest in a number of different ways. So there's the Broad Baptist Church, there's Seventh-day Baptists, there are the Southern Baptists, there's all sorts of different flavors of Baptist. But on this article, it's called Obesity in the Body of Christ. And the date on this is January 1 of 2007, so it's been a long time since then, but this problem has actually only gotten worse. So not actually any better. The article begins by saying, on any Sunday, you could walk into almost any Southern Baptist church in America and enjoy donuts and coffee before Sunday school, a potluck dinner on the grounds after the morning worship service, or an ice cream social in the evening. Many of our church activities are centered on food. Food is a gift provided to us by God to enjoy and to sustain our physical bodies, but are we overdoing it? And then here, and this paragraph here, a new study, and it's not new anymore, but a new study by the 2007 standards, recently published by Purdue University, examined the relationships between religion and both body mass index and obesity. The study found that church members, and this is broadly across Christianity, the church members tend to be more overweight than the general population. And Baptists, including, and my editorial note is especially Southern Baptists, have the distinction of being the most overweight religious group in the study. And we find this is not the only time I've seen this. I've known this as just a general matter of truth for years and years and years. This is not a judgment call on Southern Baptist believers. It is simply a statement of fact. Southern Baptist Americans are usually amongst the heaviest category of Americans. And I think that is partially due to their theology, because they generally divorce the body from the spirit. And so they fall into that category of like, it doesn't really matter what I do with my body because that's not really the real me. But it's also culture. I haven't spent a lot of time in the South, but I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras in 2001 or 2002. I guess I was there. And I was not a practicing Christian at the time, so I felt no restriction on what I could eat. And let me tell you, that is some delicious food. I probably still have some of it in my arteries, but it was delicious. And so when you combine those two things, a culture of food, a culture of unhealthy food, plus the theological idea of it doesn't really matter what happens with my body, the result is wildly overweight people. And we're seeing that problem. It's such a problem. The Baptists themselves are noting it, and even the CDC seems to have noted it. So it's a problem, and my appeal to you as a believer, or at least enough of a believer to be tuning into this show, is to take God seriously in this regard, even if you never have before. I hope that everything that we're saying makes sense to you. When your physical body is better, everything else is better. And maybe your physical body's always been kind of weak and you've never experienced what I'm talking about. But that just means today's your day. The best time to make better choices for your life was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Okay? So you can't go back in time, but you can start right now to make better choices for yourself. And I'm going to make an editorial choice here. We are working on a way to allow you to contact us and for prayer requests and whatnot. And I'm just going to throw this out there. We probably have some materials for you available, and I'm getting ahead of myself, so I hope I don't get in trouble with the team here. But I really want you to be able to reach out to us to say, this is really interesting to me and I want to learn more. And we'd be happy to send you whatever we have. So I'm going to throw that over to the producer, and hopefully in the final version of this show, we will have a way to do that. It's very, very important. The concluding thought in the last couple minutes that we have here is to drag this out of the realm of the spiritual world and just into the realm of the regular world. And like, what does that even really mean from a secular point of view? Well, did you know that obesity, and by which I don't just mean like general overweight, I mean like obesity, which has its own clinical definition, that is the root cause of a lot of our biggest health problems, like diabetes, and others as well. But then these particular problems, obesity itself and their subcategories of conditions that it leads to, is one of the biggest reasons why your health insurance premium is making you broke, right? It is one of the driving factors of the cost of health insurance in the United States and across the world. Here in this infographic from the CDC, it says that the United States spends $147 billion with a B annually on obesity-related healthcare. I actually think that number's small. This is July of 2022, so that seems like a small number. I have read estimates of upwards of 80% of all of the dollars spent in the healthcare system in the U.S. is spent on this problem and the problems that stem from it. So even if we aren't talking about God and the spiritual realm of this, even from a secular monetary perspective, we realize what a huge problem it is to live in an unhealthy way. It's causing your family financial problems, and it's causing the whole country financial problems. And the more you know about this, the more you realize that we finance everybody else's health insurance in the whole wide world in our own kind of indirect way. And so when we have these problems, the whole world have these problems financially. So we need to conclude. My conclusion today is to call all of us to live healthier lives. Let's get proper nutrition, proper exercise, stay properly hydrated, get out in the sun for your vitamin D. You want to be temperate in the things that you eat and consume, right? No bad things, and even the good things in moderation. You want to get plenty of fresh air. That is such a huge factor. You want to get plenty of sleep. And maybe the most important factor in that is to have a healthy trust in God. And that's like an 8-step formula for living a healthy life and a God-centered life. And if we can do that, then we can be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. We can live lives that will not be burdens on the people around us and on the healthcare system that supports us. And we can see God more clearly as well. So that's my appeal to you. Let's be Christians, not just in our belief, but in our practice. And let's live the 3 John verse 2 paradigm of prospering in all things, even as our soul prospers in good health. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you for the weekend, and I will be praying for you all. If you're struggling with this, then I'll be praying that God gives you grace enough to overcome whatever you're struggling with and to enter into a new and different and better paradigm of health with Jesus Christ for the rest of your days until he returns. And I hope you have a great weekend. Join us back here on Monday for another episode with another topic. And I am Steve Hicks. I'll be looking for you there. Make sure you are subscribed so that we can meet again on Monday. Man, the list of our subscriptions is growing. So Facebook, like the page and change your notifications. YouTube, subscribe to the page and hit the notification bell. TalkingDonkeyInternational.org, go to the podcast page and bookmark it. And on rumble.com, there is a follow button. You want to hit that follow button. We're also working on a premium content located over at locals.com, so you'll hear more about that in the days to come. May God bless you. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.